The 2022 OSU World Cup was expected by many to be one of the most memorable and exciting renditions of the OSU World Cup in recent memory, and it surely delivered on that narrative. For every single match, you could never assume the outcome until it was all said and done. But more importantly, for the first time in a long time, there was a legitimate case for a multitude of teams to win OWC. But at the end of the day, there was still one team favored to win it all: the United States. Yeah, I know. The next thing you'll know, someone will tell you grass is green. As much as everyone was sick and tired of them winning every match they played in for the past 4 years, deep down we all knew this is the United States tournament to win. Or at least that's what it felt like. The narrative that dominated the OSU World Cup for the past few years is who was going to be the one to end the United States reign at the top. The last time the United States lost a match in the OSU World Cup was in the grand finals of the 2018 OSU World Cup. Thanks to an incredible performance from Bubbleman, he willed the UK to a 7-6 victory against the US to force a bracket reset. This happened on December 16th, 2018, which is 4 years ago. But of course, this didn't really amount to much, as the United States would go on to win OWC 2018. And since then, absolutely nothing has changed. Since 2015, the United States have won 6 of the last 7 renditions of the OSU World Cup, and for the longest time, it felt like they were impossible to beat. 2019 specifically exemplifies this the most when the United States lost only 3 maps while winning 37, including their last 25 in a row to win the OSU World Cup. But in recent years, as other teams have gotten better, it seemed like it was only a matter of time until the US would finally fall from grace. But since that loss in 2018, the United States have maintained their perfect match record. Ever since their tournament clinching match in the grand finals reset against the United Kingdom, the United States have won 19 matches in a row spanning from 2018 to 2021. And they won 3 OWC titles in a row from 2019 to 2021 without losing a single match. It was safe to say that the US were by far the best team in the world, and no one was going to beat them anytime soon. But just because it felt like they were unbeatable doesn't mean they'll stay on top forever. As time went on, teams have shown that they were fully capable of taking multiple maps off of the United States. Now more than ever, this team was beatable, but no one was able to do so. All we needed was just one miraculous performance from another team to bring them crashing back to earth. But the world had to wait for OWC season to come around once again for everyone to get another chance. The 2022 OSU World Cup rolled around and the US once again entered as the favorites to win. They qualified as the #1 seed of the tournament for the 4th time in a row. But this time, everything felt different. The reason why this OWC in particular was hyped up to the level it was is because of one word: balance. For the first time in a long time, it felt like every single team had a legitimate shot at taking first place. Long gone were the days of the United States dominating like they did in 2019, and we weren't going to get United States versus Germany for the 10th time in a row. Of course, the United States and Germany were expected to contend for first place. That isn't out of the question. But this time, it wasn't just them. Canada has been rapidly improving and their team has slowly but surely gotten stronger. Not only that, but Poland is looking to turn back the hands of time to 2017 with their insanely loaded roster where Shaky breathed newfound life into it. There was actual competition this time. These 4 teams qualified as the top 4 seeds of the tournament, and it seemed destined that they would face each other after defeating all of their opponents. And for the sake of narratives, this year more than ever felt like the United States' time at the top was up. But before we even got to that point, things for the US were already off to a rough start. In the very first round of the tournament, the United States were pitted against Israel. Everyone expected a 5-0 sweep like they always did. But somehow, the United States saw themselves down 0-2 in the first round of the OSU World Cup. It was as if we were watching a completely different team. And sure, they won the next 5 maps in a row to win the match, but we knew things were sketchy from the get-go. This was the most amount of maps the United States lost in the first round since 2017, which is the last time they lost OWC. And things didn't get much better for them. In their match against Hong Kong in the quarterfinals, they didn't have Sawada or Fancylat on their roster. But the outcome in the end was still a foregone conclusion in the eyes of everyone else. The United States will beat them in a decisive victory. I mean, come on. It's the United States. You know, the best team in OSU history. They never had problems in the earlier stages of OWC in their winning years. But then the next thing you know, this match was tied 4-4 and it was just a mess for the US. And sure, they won 6-4, but this was a damning sign. Up to this point, the United States lost 6 maps in just the first 3 rounds of the tournament. The other top teams were doing much better than them. Poland only lost 2 maps after the first 3 rounds, and Germany only lost 4. The United States were getting outperformed by the other teams for the first time in eons and were looking incredibly shaky entering the semifinals. Their time was running out. They could no longer get away with shaky performances like this, especially in this stage of the tournament. They were slated to go against Canada in the semifinals by seeding, and it all seemed like that was going to happen. They had a 5-2 lead against South Korea, and all they needed to do was close it out. They just need to win one more map. Just one more map. Just one more map. Just one more map? Holy shit, Karcher is a f***ing god. Against all odds, South Korea came back from a 2-5 deficit to defeat Canada and earned their spot in the winners bracket semifinals against a struggling United States team. Karcher absolutely dominated the last 2 maps of the match with an FC on map 10 and a near FC on the tiebreaker to close out the match, but one player cannot beat a team on their own. The support from his teammates greatly helped, namely an FC from Persia on map 8 to keep their hopes alive and an incredible score from worst HR player in the tiebreaker. If we didn't believe it before, we now knew that this South Korean roster was an absolute force to be reckoned with. But next week had their toughest test yet. The stage was set for the semifinals matchup between the United States and South Korea, but most of us could already see what's coming. According to the OWC Pick'ems page, the United States were 3-1 favorites over South Korea, but we didn't know what this match would throw at us. Both teams started out trading maps back and forth until the United States took a break point on SK's third pick of the match. This gave the US their first lead of the match, which they would never relinquish, and eventually they stood at match point with a 5-3 lead with one more map pick at their disposal. Now the same thought was eating away at all of our minds. We've come so close on numerous occasions for the United States to finally be unseeded, but this seemed like it was the start of a conclusion we were all too familiar with, a United States victory. But what was the thing I said about this year's OWC? You can never assume the outcome until it's all said and done. South Korea won their final pick of the match to close the gap to 5-4, but now came the hard part. They would have to take a break point against the United States and win the tiebreaker if they wanted to win this match. Then, we witnessed the impossible. On their final pick of the match, the United States had an uncharacteristic blunder, and an FC from worst HR player and Nope KJK meant this match was going the distance into the tiebreaker. South Korea had made an incredible comeback to win against another North American team in their previous match. But could they really do this again? Against the best team in the world? The tiebreaker was underway, and the United States started off with a slight lead with 3 FCs through the first minute of the map. But then a chance arose.
To South Korea here. Oh my god!
Their 3 FCs broke at the exact same time, and South Korea held on to 2 FCs from Karcher and Persia. The lead swung into their favor, and all they had to do was hold on. And nothing can possibly replicate the emotions we felt while watching this match.
This combo from Taquito is still keeping the United States in this game, and as long as he holds that...
Oh my, we're coming down to the wire here. And there goes Shaky break, that might be it.
Nothing on the side of the United States outside of Rectigon and Fancy Lad right now as we get into the ending of this map. I think South Korea have just done the impossible. They have taken the United States down to the losers bracket for the first time since 2018 Grand Finals. The United States, the reigning champions, are now facing elimination in the finals weekend.
South Korea has done the unthinkable. They took down the United States. They have slain the demon that has been tormenting everyone for the past 4 years. 4 years of perfection was erased just like that. And for the first time in 1,428 days, the United States lost a match in the OSU World Cup. And Karcher dominated them. Out of the 11 maps that were played, Karcher FC'd 5 of them and top scored 4 of them. He played in all 11 maps and came in clutch when South Korea needed it the most. What numbers can't possibly quantify is performance under pressure, and Karcher handles that pressure better than anyone else. He willed South Korea to an impossible comeback against Canada, and he did it again against the United States 1 week later. Karcher was the top scorer in both tiebreaker maps against Canada and the US, and they needed every single one of his godlike performances to come out on top of both of these matches. For the United States, this loss in the semifinals is the earliest loss they suffered in OWC since 2014 when they lost to Poland 6-0 in the semifinals. For the first time since 2017, the United States have to fight their way to the grand finals through the losers bracket if they want to have a chance to win their 5th OWC title in a row. Now they are in big trouble. Just one more loss will eliminate them from the entire tournament. The United States have made it to the grand finals every year since 2015, and now they are at risk of being eliminated before the grand finals for the first time since 2014. There are no words that could possibly describe the weight this match outcome holds. It's not just that the longest winning streak in OSU history is gone. And it's just not that the best team in the world is in the worst position they've ever been for the first time in several years. Now more likely than ever, it's time that a new team finds their way to the top. And this is the proof. No longer is this game going to be defined by one unstoppable force. This South Korean team was written off by many people. Many people thought that the absences of Flying Tuna and Doomsday Fanboy would prove to be too much to overcome. But now, for the third time in the last 4 years, South Korea finds themselves in the top 3 of the Osu World Cup. This outcome was so crazy that the Osu community got South Korea trending on Twitter. And there is only one thing that can rival the emotional craze that this match imposed on us. The match that eliminates the United States from the tournament. Of course, just because the US lost for the first time in 4 years doesn't mean that they are out of the running just yet. They can always fight their way through the losers bracket. But for now, we're just one match away from witnessing something we never thought would happen. And it's fitting that all of this is happening in the craziest Osu World Cup to date.
South Korea has just put an end to 4 years of dominance.